So we are back at it with video 4.2 after a long break from these videos with X Factor, your intro to factoring trinomials. And whenever I think about using the X Factor to factor trinomials, I think about this emoji girl. I think about this emoji girl and the shape she makes with her arms, and you'll see how that comes into play later. So what is the X Factor? It's a method we can use to factor trinomials, and we're going to use this X shape when we are doing this today during the lesson. But first, some definitions you're going to need to get down that you should know, and if you don't know them, here they are. The sum is the result of adding numbers together, and the product is the result from multiplying numbers. So sum, addition, product, multiplication. Please get down this first example of x squared plus 5x plus 6. And if we want to factor this, I know that every term should have a common factor, but if I look at x squared, 5x, and 6, I don't see a common factor that I can pull out. But we can still factor these even without all of them having something in common. So how we do this is we want to look at two numbers that have this sum of 5, this coefficient, and have a product of 6. So we want two numbers that add up to 5 and multiply together to equal 6. And you're going to see why we want this in a future slide. Just get that down for now. So to do this, we're going to set up an x. So write down your x, and then what you want to be your product, put at the top, and what you want to be your sum, put at the bottom. So make sure you get that down, and we're going to look at why we're doing this now. So the product goes here, as you can see. The sum goes here, as we already put. And then the factors are going to go here and here. And the factors, as you know, are what break down to multiply to a number. So we're going to look at the number 6. And we're going to write down all the factors of 6. We have 1 and 6, and we have 2 and 3. And which of these factors, either 1 and 6 or 2 and 3, multiply together to equal 6? Well, we know they both do, but which of them add together to get 5? And we can see that 2 and 3 are going to add together to get 5. So we're going to put 3 and 2 in these sides, and our x is complete. But now, what do we do with this? So what's our answer? We have our x formation, we have our trinomial, but I need to write out my factors in a way that when I remultiply them, I'm going to get my trinomial, because that's what factoring is. We're breaking things down. So what this looks like is we write 2 parentheses, and this is going to look very familiar to you once we get it out. And we're going to put our 2 factors into each of these parentheses. So I'm going to do a positive 3 and then a positive 2. But why do we do this? Make sure you get down this sentence here of why are we doing this. The factored binomials that we have right here show the trinomial in simplest form, and that's all about what factoring is all about, putting something in simplest form. And if we were to use FOIL, we would have our original trinomial. So if you think back to when we first did factoring, once you factored out the GCF, we wanted you to check your answer by redistributing that greatest common factor into whatever simplified polynomial you had. So we want you to do the same thing here, where you're going to use FOIL to check your answer. And when I FOIL, I should get this as my answer. So I have first, x times x is x squared. My outside terms, x and 2, that'll be 2x, positive 2x. I'm going to multiply my inside terms now, 3 and x, for a positive 3x. And then my last terms, my 3 and my 2, for a positive 6. And when I combine like terms, I'm left with x squared plus 5x plus 6. And I have a match right here, my original trinomial. So I know I did it right. I know this checks out. Let's try one more. This should say example 2. Let's just cross that out. Example 2. I want to factor this. So what I'm going to start out is with my x. I'm going to put my, remember this is the product on top, and then the sum on the bottom. So what multiplies to 2 but adds to 3? And I'm going to write out the factors of 2, my product, and it's just 1 and 2. But 1 and 2 add up to 3. So that means my factors that are going to be factored out of this polynomial are 1 and 2. So I'm going to write my final answer as x plus 1 because it's a positive 1 and x plus 2. And if I were to check that and use FOIL, I have my first x squared, my outside 2x, my inside is just x, and my last is 2. And I combine my like terms and I get x squared plus 3x plus 2. So your hot question is to use the x factor method to factor this trinomial right here, x squared plus 6x plus 8. Draw your x, put your product at the top and your sum at the bottom, and find the factors of this, and then write your final answer in the Google form as 2 binomials with whatever your answer is inside here. Okay, and then try out the IXL skill A1, AA3 to test out your new knowledge.